So I'm rethinking a lot of things about my channel and my business and the whole brand of what I'm doing, because I realized with the last couple videos that I released, and so that was my Monday video for the summing up and then my Saturday video about how I lost my job. And usually I film my videos much more in advance than this. It is Tuesday and this video is going up on Thursday. So I was kind of waiting to see how things played out, and it's been kind of interesting because my Saturday video had kind of a surprising performance. And what I mean by that is I was so touched by all of the comments and all of the love and support that I got after I made that video and down in the comment section, and it really just made me feel closer to you guys, and I really like it. So I really like having these kind of videos where they're more engaging and there's more of a personal connection. And I felt like my Monday video was kind of anticlimactic after that Saturday video, and I am really rethinking what I'm doing with my channel and with everything. And so far what I've come up with is that what I really am just passionate about is learning. So my goal has always been to teach through experience and to teach strategies and to teach how to learn. So I was doing the Spanish lessons for a little while, and I still might do some of those. I'm still going to do Spanish. So I'm still working on my bachelor's degree in Spanish, and I'm working on French, and that is still a crucial part of who I am. So that is not going anywhere. It just is going to look a little bit different in the future, I think. I'm still working out exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it. But I've been really just doing some reflection, and I found that what I was doing with those Spanish lessons is kind of the reason that I left my job initially. So yes, I technically didn't voluntarily leave my job, but I knew that it was coming, and so I waited around. I knew what was going on. So that's why I got out of that, because I don't want to just teach a subject. Anyone can just teach a subject. Anyone can, do the research and say, okay, this is how this works, this is the structure, here you go. There's so many channels out there that have, all the Spanish content, all of the whatever it is. But what I really have to offer is through my experience and how I think about learning, and it's a very holistic approach. So I know some people look at this and they're like, you're teaching Spanish, you're teaching this, you're teaching that, you're teaching math, why do you teach Spanish, and all of this. But everything is so interconnected, and I'm studying karate as well. But all of this just contributes to who I am as a person and how I learn. And I use the same strategies for all of these subjects. For Spanish, for math, for karate, it's all the same process. Yes, it's modified a little bit, and you have to practice in different ways, and sometimes some karate, of course, more physical, but it's also mental. And math is very structural, language is very structural as well, and so is karate. So all of it works together, and that's why I do have these different parts on my channel. And I really wasn't sure when I started, do I want to do teaching this, teaching Spanish and teaching math and teaching karate? But then I realized I can teach karate online, and I'm still learning, and although maybe I could teach some of the basic stuff at this point, I that's not really where I want to go, at least at this point in my life. And at this point in my life as well, you know, I am doing this full time. And that's not to say that I will always be doing this. I might at some point decide that I want to go back to being a teacher in whatever the classroom looks like when school's open back up. But I don't know. But right now, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I am really, really passionate about. And I want to share with you guys, like, kind of how my mind works, because that's how I'm able to be successful. That's how I've been able to learn how much I've learned about all these different subjects. And that's how, you know, I have done so many things. That's how I traveled and, you know, lived abroad and stayed with host families and worked over 20 jobs and finished college when I was 22, and that's how I did all this stuff, was because of my determination to do it and just my passion for it, and because it's important to me, and because I know that there's a way to do the things that I want to do. And when I find out, like when I see someone who's done these things and I'm like, oh, that's so cool, there's karate, I can learn how to do that. These things that seem unattainable, like, that's what I want to do. And that's kind of why I'm doing YouTube, because everything that I've done at some point in my life, I thought it was unattainable. Like, when I was, now we're going way, way back. Like, when I was a child and I was exposed to a lot of Spanish because I live in Southern California and I have my entire life. So there was Spanish everywhere, and I would hear it and just like, oh, it's Spanish again. And I didn't realize, like, I kind of hated it. I kind of hated Spanish as a child. And my dad, his girlfriend of many, many, many years, I don't even know, like 10 or 15 years now, she's from Mexico. And at the time when I met her, she only spoke Spanish. So it was very difficult. And I kind of resented it a little bit because part of the language, you know, part of the relationship change kind of thing with, you know, my parents separating, all of that. But I resented Spanish. And also, I think part of it was that I felt like, what is this? Why don't I speak another language? And I didn't realize this until I went to Italy. I did my second exchange program after Australia. I went to Italy for a few weeks and with host family. And I realized, the frustration of not being able to understand the language, because even though most of Europe, like, you can communicate in English, there are a lot of people who don't speak English. And especially, like, in the host family situation, you're more involved in, like, the actual life of that country, and you see it more from the perspective of locals, and you see fewer people who are more proficient in English and who are, you know, in the tourist areas. So I really experienced what it was like to not speak the language and to be frustrated, to not understand, to feel like just like closed off. Like, I would just sit there and be like, yeah, okay, I didn't understand anything. I didn't speak Spanish, I didn't understand Italian, I didn't know anything. And I remember that feeling, like, I remember it so much, because people thought that I just was antisocial, that I just didn't want to be around other people, that I didn't want to talk, but I didn't speak the language. And yes, I have been, like, a very introverted and for most of my life very shy person, but really in that situation, that's more of what it was. And I just remember that so vividly. And when I got back from Italy, I decided to learn Spanish. Like, I had studied Spanish in high school before, but I hated it. I missed classes. I didn't want to go. I don't know. I think it was my, like, personal life that kind of interfered with that. But then I just like, it just changed me going, and I realized, no, I'm not this person. And I even talked to some people, and they were like, when I was in Italy, and they were like, oh, I don't like these people because they speak this language or whatever. This is like, how close-minded is that? I don't want to be that kind of person. And I just want to like open my mind, and I want to learn as much as I possibly can. I just want to learn my entire life. And you guys know that like I've talked about getting my PhD in Spanish at some point, and I don't know if I'll actually get my PhD in Spanish. Like, I definitely am going to be learning my entire life, and I might do my PhD, I might do it in Spanish, I might do it in linguistics, I might do it in literature, but it's gonna have some Spanish in it, it's gonna have some French in it, it's gonna have all of that in it. So my direction is clear, and ultimately, I'm just gonna be learning my whole life. And that's why I do karate as well, because I am basically like fulfilling that part of my life. So I need to have exercise, right? It's important to have exercise in your life, to move around. And it's also like a little bit of social interaction because I don't leave my house much, but right now I still go to karate. So I just enjoy it from that perspective as well. And really, yeah, it all works together. And when I got back and I decided to learn Spanish, I remember it so clearly. Like, I learned so much. I was at San Diego State and I enrolled in my Spanish classes. Like, I was so determined not to learn Spanish before that. I was like, I'm gonna learn Japanese, I'm gonna learn this, I'm gonna learn that. And then it's like, who am I kidding? There are so many Spanish classes available. Like, I need to take a Spanish class, and I live in Southern California. Like, I practically live in northern Mexico. Like, I need to learn Spanish. It's gonna be so valuable for me to learn Spanish. And I did, and I loved it. And then I went to Spain, and then I went to Costa Rica, and I learned more Spanish. And I learned through immersion, and and I hired a tutor to help me because I really wanted to get into it. I really wanted to be good. Because everything that I do, I want to do really well. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I want to teach how to learn. I want to teach based on what I've learned. So Spanish is a part of me. French is a part of me. Math, karate, those are all of my core subjects that have made me who I am. And the things that I've learned from each of them are what I'm pulling from. So, like Spanish, for example, I learned Spanish and I was also studying linguistics at the time because I had a literacy focus within my liberal studies degree. So I was doing that, and I had the Spanish, I had linguistics, and it was just so cool because I learned so much about Spanish, but also about English. And I am still improving my English. Like, yeah, I'm a native speaker, but my English is so far from perfect. Like, I still want to improve my writing and my ability to speak more clearly, and my listening to other people and conversations, and like, there's just so much, and I'm never going to be finished learning any of these subjects. So that's why when people are like, you need to finish learning Spanish before you can teach Spanish, it's like, so I can never teach Spanish, so I can never teach English, so I can never teach math or karate or any of these things, because guess what? I'm never, ever, ever going to be finished learning any of these because it's just not possible. And if I do learn like what there is out there, then I can create something else to learn. I can further develop those skills. Like, it's just, that's the beauty of it. When I would go to school, like I would go to college, even my community college, I would just go there and just think like, there is so much knowledge all around me, and I just want to learn. Like, I just want to absorb all of this information. And yes, grades were really important to me when I started. Like, I was like, I have to have straight A's when I start college, and I did for a few semesters, and then I got my first B, and I got whatever, and then I realized at some point that like, the grades, yeah, they show what I've learned, but ultimately what's important is what I'm learning. And that's kind of how I ended up where I did, because the education system, like, don't even get me started on the education system. I have learned one of my favorite quotes, and I don't even know who it's by, but I learned despite the education system, despite this like here's this subject, you need to go through this, you need to learn this, you need to memorize this, you need to be social, you need to do all of the work in groups, you need to do this, all of those structures that are just so inorganic and just, it just makes me cringe. And that's why I'm really excited about like the idea of an educational reform right now with everything that's going on. And that's why I'm just kind of saying like, maybe at some point in the future I'll decide I want to teach in some way, like maybe online or maybe something, but I want to do things the way that I want to do them and the way that I know that they work, because I have seen, like, I have worked with many people in tutoring, and I've done a lot of writing tutoring. I've done other subjects as well, but writing has just really been where I've done the best. And I don't think it's because of like English or that I'm, particularly an amazing writer. It's not even that. And if anything, like, I learned to become a better writer through teaching other people how to write. And that's really why I teach, is because I teach to learn and to share what I know. And like right now I'm working on some stuff, like little by little I've been mentioning some things I'm working on, and I am writing a lot right now, and I'm learning so much from the writing. It's like when you're in school and you write a paper and you write to learn, like that's what we do. And so my writing and my teaching, it's all the same, guys. It's all connected. And the writing, I think that the reason that I've done so well with teaching writing has been that it's very structural, right? It's creativity in writing, and that's something that I've struggled with for a lot of my life, really, just like opening up and really getting in touch with who I am and what I like and what I feel, and that's something I've struggled with. So that's why I say, like, I'm not a phenomenal writer by any means. Maybe one day in the future I'll work on that. Like, that's why I say maybe I'll do literature when I go for graduate school. But right now, my writing that I've done is, above anything else, it's organization and communication. You have to organize your ideas and you have to communicate them clearly and effectively. And yes, there's grammar and there's mechanics and there's vocabulary and there's all of that, and that's all important, but nothing is more important than being understood. And you can't be understood unless you can communicate your idea clearly. And organization is just key to life, really. And I live by organization. Like, every aspect of my life is organized. I have a system for everything, and that's really what I'm gonna start sharing with you guys, is how to learn, like, yes, how to learn a language, yes, how to learn Spanish or how to learn English or French or whatever it is. And I'm even gonna be making some videos in Spanish and eventually in French once I get a little more confident and learn a little bit more French. But really, I'm teaching everything that I know to you guys. I'm sharing everything I know with you about learning Spanish, learning English, learning French, learning karate, and all of these things that I can't teach you every single aspect of each of those subjects because, well, for one, I don't know every single aspect of all of those subjects, and like even English, and there's so many resources out there that will just teach you those subjects, and that's there, and there's great resources for that, and I use those resources, but what I want to contribute is how I use those resources, how I learn for myself, how I manage my schedule, how I manage my life, how I have, successfully pushed myself through school, through my bachelor's degree, through my teaching credential, through my second bachelor's degree, eventually through graduate school, through working full time, and through working pretty much my whole adult life and teenage life, and the strategies that go behind that. Because, and I've said this before, but when you learn how to learn, like really learn how to learn, you can learn anything. You can be successful in life. You really can. And it just goes so far beyond just learning a subject. And I'll make another video about this topic, I think, but it goes beyond just learning the topic, the subject. It goes into just your whole life. I live my whole life by these principles because like I said, my whole life is organized. I have like plans for myself now, plans for myself in a few years, plans for myself but before I die, plans for my whole life. And I manage everything. Like I manage my finances, and I manage my school, and I manage my work, and I manage my personal life, and all of that, it all works together. And I want to share with you guys. I want to help people be successful in these areas, because these are the areas that I have found that, like, when teaching in a classroom and with my students, that so many people struggle with, because they just want to know, like, just teach me this, and it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. If you look at the people who are really successful, they work really hard to get that success, or they're lucky. There are some people who just kind of fall into it, and if that is you, then this channel is not really for you, but maybe you'll still benefit from it. But there are some people who just, fall into it, and some people who can afford to just have like a private class every single day and every, few hours and be taught that way. But most of us don't have that, and it's not an advantage as much as you would think to have it that way, because you learn so much from the process. And if you're not learning from the process, there's no point in doing it. Like, you can get the skill, but so much of it is the process. And yeah, it's really the process of learning. And that's why in like teaching high school, I said, like, okay, sure, we can learn math. People are like, oh, why do we learn math? Well, sometimes you don't learn things because you actually need to know that subject. You learn them because you need the skills that it teaches. And yes, some people need math. Like some people, you want to be a doctor, you want to go into the medical field, or you want to go into any kind of science or engineering or computer science, whatever it is, like you need math, of course. But ordinary, they are ordinary too, but everyone can benefit from the skills of learning math, because the skills are all connected to everything. Like the organization, the systems, the study techniques, all of that, it all works together. So anyway, we need to wrap up this video because it says 25 minutes, so we need to wrap this up, and I will do another one about more like a whole, more holistic, like life approach and how all that works together. But I just really wanted to let you guys know, like, I appreciate so much all the support and the love that I got on my last couple of videos, and I'm so excited about the direction of my business and working with you guys. And just thank you so much for being with me for all this time, and if you made it to the end of this video. And I'm really looking forward to your guys' comments and how you respond to this, and I'll be responding back to you guys. So that's it. I will see you guys back here next time. So next time it'll be on Monday, because I am gonna be really focusing on my strategy, my videos, and some things behind the scenes. And so I'm gonna be taking this Saturday off, and I might just do Monday, Thursday uploads. We'll kind of see how it goes, but I just really want to focus, and I want to pay attention to how things are doing and the direction that I want to take my business and everything. So I will see you guys back here on Monday and Thursday, and yeah, I will see you guys back here next time. Ciao.